There comes a moment in every human life when the walls built by fear begin to crack, not because the person suddenly becomes fearless, but because something inside them grows stronger than the fear itself. This book, Your Journey Begins When Fear Ends, invites the reader into that sacred moment where courage begins with a whisper and gradually rises into a clear, steady voice. It offers not just ideas, but an inner roadmap, reminding us that every breakthrough, every transformation, and every new chapter of life begins the very moment we stop allowing fear to choose for us. In its pages, we meet reflections, stories, and principles that guide us gently toward a deeper understanding of who we are, what holds us back, and what waits for us on the other side of our hesitation. At its heart, the book tells the story of people, ordinary individuals carrying invisible burdens, wrestling with doubt, longing for change, yet trapped in cycles of overthinking and self-protection. Through their journeys, the book shows how fear quietly shapes our lives, the dreams we delay, the relationships we avoid, the truths we silence, and the paths we never dare to walk. Fear is subtle, it rarely announces itself. It hides behind excuses, past traumas, social expectations, and familiar comforts. It convinces us that the life we have, even if it's unfulfilling, is safer than the life we desire. The book exposes these patterns with compassion, not judgment. One of its key messages is that fear doesn't disappear through force, it dissolves through understanding. Instead of running from it, the characters in the book learn to walk toward it, to study it, to ask it gentle questions. What are you protecting me from? What wound are you reminding me of? What truth am I scared to admit? Many of the breakthroughs come not from bold actions, but from quiet moments of self-honesty. There is a powerful scene where a character sits alone in a dim room, realizing that her fear wasn't of failing but of being seen. She had built her life around staying invisible, pleasing others, keeping her voice small, choosing the path of least resistance. Her awakening begins when she finally whispers to herself, "I deserve to take up space." That single sentence becomes the seed of her transformation. The book emphasizes that the end of fear is never dramatic, it's gradual. Like dawn breaking across a dark horizon, clarity arrives slowly. You begin to see options where before you saw walls. You begin to sense possibilities where before you sensed danger. The characters learn that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move anyway. The author beautifully frames it: fear loses its power the moment you stop giving it authority over your choices. That line echoes throughout the narrative, reminding the reader over and over that life expands in proportion to one's willingness to outgrow old fears. A recurring idea in the book is that fear is often inherited, not consciously, but through experiences, upbringing, and cultural conditioning. Some fears come from childhood wounds, where early failures or criticisms etched themselves into memory. Some come from adults who taught us indirectly to play small. Some come from past heartbreaks that left us guarded. The characters revisit key moments in their lives where fear first took root, and by revisiting these memories with compassion, they slowly remove the emotional weight that held them back for years. One character's journey is especially moving. After a major setback in his youth, he internalized the belief that he wasn't capable of success. Every time opportunities appeared, he found reasons to step back. Whenever dreams surfaced, he convinced himself they were unrealistic. The turning point arrives when he realizes that it wasn't failure he feared, it was responsibility. If he succeeded, he would have to maintain it. If he stepped out, he would have to be seen. If he claimed his dreams, he would no longer have excuses. This realization changes everything for him. The book paints this internal shift with deep emotional insight, reminding us that most fears are not about danger, they are about stepping into the unknown identity that growth demands. Another lesson woven throughout the story is the importance of presence. Fear thrives on the future, imagining worst-case scenarios, predicting pain before it arrives, creating emotional storms from events that haven't happened yet. The characters learn to anchor themselves in the present moment, discovering that when you stay grounded in, right now, fear loses its grip. There is a moment when one character, overwhelmed by anxiety, is guided through a simple exercise of breathing deeply and naming things she can see, touch, and feel. In that moment of presence, her storm softens. She realizes that fear lives in imagined futures, while peace lives in the present. The book also shows how fear limits relationships. Many characters struggle with vulnerability, afraid of being judged, rejected, or misunderstood. Through their development, the story teaches that deep connection only becomes possible when one is willing to show their true self. Masks, pretenses, and emotional walls may protect us, but they also isolate us. The author reminds the reader that love requires openness, trust, and courage, the courage to be imperfect, to make mistakes, to let others see our unpolished humanity. As the characters open up emotionally, their relationships transform, becoming richer and more authentic. This mirrors the real world. Relationships deepen when fear ends. Another core message is that fear often disguises itself as practicality. Many people claim they are being realistic, when in truth they are being fearful. They choose the safe job instead of the meaningful one. They stay in familiar comfort zones instead of exploring new horizons. The book challenges this illusion gently, showing that practicality is valuable, but it should not be an excuse to silence one's dreams. The characters learn to blend wisdom with courage, to take smart risks, not reckless ones. They begin making decisions not from fear, but from purpose. And step by step, their lives open like doors that were waiting to be pushed. The transformation of each character is built on a simple yet profound truth: fear ends when faith begins. Not necessarily spiritual faith, though for some characters, that plays a role, but a deep inner trust. Trust in one's potential. Trust in life's unfolding. Trust in the idea that even if the path is uncertain, one has the strength to walk it. The book teaches that fear fades every time we choose trust over doubt, action over hesitation, growth over comfort. The title comes alive in the final chapters, where each character begins stepping fully into their new inner world. They start making choices aligned with their authentic selves. They speak more courageously. They pursue dreams they once buried. They set boundaries they never dared to set. They embrace relationships with openness instead of fear. They begin to live, not react, not hide, not survive, but live. Their journeys are not perfect, they still meet setbacks. But now setbacks do not shake them as they once did, because fear no longer leads their decisions. Ultimately, your journey begins when fear ends teaches that every person already carries everything they need to transform their life. The journey does not start when conditions are perfect, it begins when the heart decides it is ready. Courage is not something to be found outside, it is something awakened within. The book gently guides the reader to recognize this truth within themselves, encouraging them to see that they, too, have a journey waiting on the other side of fear.